What's going on, YouTube family? Welcome to Automotive Life. My name is Lucky, and today we have an absolute banger for you guys. Today we're going to be talking about how the rental car automation system is flat out illegal. Now, about 3 months ago, I made a video talking about is the exotic rental car automation a scam? And I didn't want to call out anybody specific because some of these guys just don't know how the industry actually works. The rental car market is very convoluted, it's hard to know, and there's nowhere you can look up online for the rules and regulations unless you're physically in the industry. So I thought I'd put this out as a friendly, get some information out there and see what happens. And the good news is a lot of these guys reached out to me and they're like, hey, what am I doing wrong? Blah, blah, blah. And so I explained to quite a few of them that what they're doing is wrong, how they're actually endangering their business, endangering the customers' cars. Also, a lot of things they're doing illegal that can get them in trouble with either the government, the FBI, the insurance bureau, all these things. And some of them actually said, okay, we're going to walk away from this. We're going to just leave it alone. But some other people actually doubled down and wound up spending more money on advertising for some of these stupid ads like, join my rental car automation program and make thousands and thousands of dollars by renting out your car, passive income, which is absolute BS. Now think about it this way, and this is the best way I love to pretty much state it to people. I've been in the industry for over 20 years. I get people all the time saying, Lucky, I know you're in Las Vegas. It's a busy market. I'm going to send you my classic cars, my exotic cars, my regular cars, and I want you to rent it out for me and get a percentage of the profit. And I always tell people no. But at the same time, these guys are literally online paying for ads, begging you to give them their cars so they can make thousands of dollars in passive income. So why am I turning it down and they're begging for it? Is because of risk and liability. I don't want the risk and I definitely don't want the liability. I always make jokes that these guys are always partners as long as the income is coming in. When it's time to pay bills out, that's when you're on your own. And that's what I'm going to explain on how all these things work, why rental car automation is illegal, and why these things are not even set up and they're ran by a bunch of what's called broker jokers. So let's start off with the basics. First, you actually have to have a licensed rental car company. That's step number one. You got to have all your state licenses and whatever your state requires. Number two, all your cars have to be registered in the corporation or business's name. No exceptions, nothing else. It has to be done. It's part of the insurance regulation. So that's step number two. And step number three, which is the most crucial, this is why I know that 99% of these guys are full of absolute BS, is because you have to have a commercial rental car policy. Now, to get one of these policies is very expensive and very hard. And to get an exotic rental car policy is absolutely impossible unless you have a shit ton of money or you've been grandfathered in like myself. Me, I know Rob Ferretti, also Houston from Royalty. We've got our policies long ago because now today, if you try to get an exotic rental car policy, they will not approve you for one hands down flat out if you're a new company. The reason why are broker jokers like this that wind up getting a bunch of exotic cars, renting them out, beating the hell out of them, and then in 2 to 3 years, they can't sell them. So what do? They commit insurance fraud. They crash them, they burn them, they mysteriously disappear. And so now insurance companies had so much loss in this industry, they will not write a new policy unless you pay an exorbitant amount of money. I've had a company in Houston that we set up. They had to pay $800,000 in a bond, and the insurance company held onto the bond just to start their policy. And on top of that, you can't even use it. So that just shows you how much money you have to just to start it. So let's say these guys did want to start it. It would cost anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 per car per month, maybe a $5,000 to $8,000 onboarding for these insurance policies. Every time I told some of these rental car automation guys, this is the process you have to do, they always said, well, that's too much money. That's a lot of money. I'm like, exactly. It costs a lot of money to run a real exotic rental car company. And that's why a lot of us tell people to don't do it because it's not worth the headache. You can make more money buying and selling cars, doing real estate, even doing a side hustle flipping couches. You could do whatever you want. Exotic rental cars is very expensive and it's very hard to maintain. But if you noticed, a lot of these rental car automation guys don't own a single car. They're using other people's cars and other people's names with different banks that have no idea that they're renting these vehicles out. And this is where the illegal part comes into play. So before, like I said, I was kind of nice, not really throwing punches, but now I'm gonna 100% tell you exactly what they're doing, why it's illegal. And if this has happened to you, reach out to me or reach out to the feds because there are feds, police, and the insurance bureaus that are looking for these guys, because a lot of these guys have done some really shady stuff. So here's the breakdown. As a rental car company, I can't take a regular person's car and rent it out in my fleet. It is flat out illegal. One, it's not covered under my commercial policy if it's in somebody else's name. Two, if I take that car and for some reason, the renter crashes it into a school bus, kills a bunch of people, and destroys the car, guess who's going to get sued? It's going to be me, the rental car company, and it's going to be the owner of the car. Now, if the rental car automation broker joker has nothing, they have nothing to lose. You do. So all these guys giving these broker jokers Lambos, Ferraris, $300,000 to $500,000 in exotic cars for these clowns to rent out. Now, I don't care what they say. Oh, my lawyer wrote up an ironclad contract and it's totally guaranteeable and they can't get out of it. BS. Insurance companies are getting smart to all the broker jokers and the rental car business. If I'm renting out a car and they crash it and they look and like, okay, we're going to pay out the issuer. We're going to pay out Las Vegas Exotic Rentals. But then they look at the registration. They're like, who's Mr. Bob Smith? Oh, Bob Smith is the guy that joined my rental car automation program and it's his car. Well, they're going to be like, well, we insured or we're going to pay out your company cars, not Mr. Bob Smith's car. So the customer's insurance is going to deny it. My insurance is going to deny it. And now the customer, Mr. Bob Smith, the guy that joined this program, is screwed. So now he's left paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for a wrecked exotic car. Also, some insurance companies know that if it's not registered to the exotic rental car company, they will purposely fight and argue with them just to basically lower the bill and prolong it. And so they know that you don't have the capital and the funds like a real rental car business. They just know that you're just probably some kid doing this stuff out of your mom's bedroom, basically saying you're a rental car automation genius. And so now these guys are basically screwed. Remember, you guys are partners when the money is coming in. When the money is going out, you are on your own. And I don't know what people are thinking, trusting some of these kids to give your $300,000 exotic car to somebody to let them rent out and beat up. Now, think about it this way. If there was so much money renting out exotic cars and you were doing all this crazy stuff, why would you want to share that with other people? Like if I was doing it, I would do it myself. But the reason why these guys don't do it is because they can't afford these cars. They don't have the money. They don't have the credit. Also, they know for a fact that those cars are basically going to get beat up and they're going to lose on depreciation. And that's why they don't do this. They want to use other people's cars to make money. Where our rental car business, it was my cars. I don't want to rent out other people's cars. It was a headache. It was a pain in the butt. And why am I going to share the profits for somebody? I'll keep it to myself. And that's one more thing that lets you guys know that this is absolute BS. On top of that, a lot of the exotic rental car policies that are out there, even if they do have one, does not cover, like I said, if the car is standing. So let's say the car's not up for rent. It's sitting in their driveway. It's sitting in a garage. It could catch on fire, it could be stolen, and it's not covered. And then the other scary thing is I've actually got reports from some of these guys bragging about how they make, whatever, $10 million a year. And one of the guys is telling me that they're suing this guy because they said that his car wasn't being rented out. They had a GPS tracker in it, and this guy's been putting hundreds of miles every single month on this McLaren. And basically, they're just driving it around, not renting it out, using it as their personal car, flexing on social media when these guys are literally broke, living in shitty apartments, driving other people's cars. These are the people that you're dealing with when you're dealing with this rental car automation. Now, like I said, I'm not going to point out any names because I believe that everybody deserves a fair shake. They could also change their program and get licensed correctly. Also, there are a lot of companies out there that are trying to piggyback off of other people's insurance. You cannot do that. People are getting called out. You pissed off, I guess, enough people in the industry where they're starting to point to you guys and they're calling your insurance company. So please be careful. If you're doing this right now, I'm telling you this, stop it. Do it correctly. I know it's going to suck and you're not going to make as much money. You're not going to live the flashy lifestyle, but you don't want to go to jail. And right now here in Vegas, they're actually setting up a bureau where they can actually go out and chase these fake rental car companies because there are people driving cars that have crappy maintenance. They're basically screwing people out of hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they're not paying the usage tax and some of the other taxes that are required by the states when you do rental cars. So if you're not licensed correctly, you're not paying these things. You're basically defrauding the state out of hundreds of thousands of taxes every single year. And that's another thing. We had a guy in Houston that winded up renting I can't remember. He had like maybe 10 cars in his Houston, Texas fleet, and this rental car company rented him out, paid him out with a 1099, and at the end of the year, he had to pay a ton of taxes on the full amount of money. That's another thing that people don't think about. Also, one thing to think about is banks are losing a lot of money right now. Every time they give a loan, remember, their repos are an all-time high as well as deficiencies, especially in the exotic car sector. So if they gave you a loan at 72 months at 3% interest, it was because they're expecting you, a regular person, to maybe drive a few thousand miles, not drive it that much, and take care of the car. They're not expecting you to rent it out to people and beat the shit out of it and rack up a shitload of miles. If that was the case, they would have gave it to you at probably 12% at 60 or 54 months. They would have shortened the term and raised the rate to offset their risk. That's what banks do. So now a lot of the leasing companies that I work with will flat out repo your car if you actually are renting it out or using it for some sort of ride share. I'll tell you another thing, luxury lease partners, they have amazing programs to help people get in exotic cars, but they have a big program or flat out rule that says you cannot use their cars for rentals. And they go out and they will repo your car the second they find out you're using it. And they're not the only ones. A lot of people are scared because they can't afford their payments. They're not living that life. They lost all their crypto money. So what are they doing? They're giving their cars to these guys, turn them into like a money-making asset, and that's just not the case. So if you're in one of these programs, ask them these questions, ask about the insurance, ask what happens if your car is lost. They're always going to tell you the other person's insurance is going to pay for it. And if they don't have corporate insurance themselves, the car is not registered, it's technically not covered. Don't risk your livelihood. Don't risk your assets. And like I said, if you take that car and somebody drives it into a school bus and kills a bunch of kids, they're going to sue the driver and they're going to sue you, the owner. So it's not worth the headache or the liability. Anyways, I would love to know your opinion in the comment section below. What do you guys think of rental car automation? Have you guys seen all the crazy ads making millions of dollars every single year, blah, blah, blah? You know, I'd love to find out more about what interests you guys when it comes to the rental car business. Like I said, I'm an open book when it comes to actually setting up your rental car company. If you guys want to reach out to me again, which I'm sure you guys are, that's why, like I said, I'm being very nice and not pointing out anybody's names. But, you know, please stop this. You're going to screw yourselves and you're going to screw your customers, and it's a bad thing. And like I said, if it was that much money and that was good, don't you think all of us would be doing it? No, because it's not worth the risk or the liability. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you stay tuned to the next one. I got another great video coming up Friday. We'll see you then.